There are people who walk through life like ghosts, present but invisible. People who shrink themselves in conversations, who hide their brilliance, who avoid eyes that look too closely. This video is about them. The ones who fear being seen. Asterisk. Not because they are weak, but because once upon a time, being seen meant being judged, misunderstood, or hurt. Today we dive into the psychology behind the fear of being seen, where it begins, how it shapes a person, and why some of the quietest people carry the loudest stories. Fear of being seen is not about shyness. It's not about introversion. It's a psychological shield built over years, sometimes decades. It forms when a child learns that showing emotions leads to punishment, when expressing needs results in rejection, or when being themselves only brings more chaos. This fear becomes a quiet armor, a survival strategy that follows them into adulthood. For most people, the fear of being seen begins in childhood, long before they have the words to explain it. Before they understand emotions, they understand reactions. They notice how adults respond to them. A frown when they express excitement. A sigh when they ask a question. A sharp tone when they show sadness. Little moments, but powerful enough to reshape an entire personality. They learn very quickly. My emotions are too loud. My feelings make people uncomfortable. My needs are inconvenient. Some children grow up in homes where vulnerability is dismissed, where tears are met with, "Stop crying. You're overreacting. Why can't you be normal?" Others grow up in environments where being themselves is dangerous, where any mistake, any honest expression, any sign of weakness invites blame, anger, or ridicule. And so, piece by piece, they silence themselves. Not because they want to, but because it becomes a survival strategy. They learn to scan the room before speaking. They learn to shrink their personality so it doesn't take up space. They learn to numb their own feelings because no one else seems to care about them. And slowly, almost invisibly, the child begins to believe a painful lie. If the people who raised me can't handle who I am, then maybe no one ever will. That belief follows them into adulthood. They don't just fear being noticed. They fear being judged. They don't just fear being seen. They fear being misunderstood, rejected, or criticized. This is where the fear begins. Not in weakness, not in insecurity, but in childhood environments that taught them that their true self was unsafe. As adults, these people become experts in shrinking. They speak softly, stay out of the spotlight, and only show parts of themselves that feel safe. They don't want attention, not because they're boring, but because attention feels dangerous. They create a mask, a version of themselves that is polite, agreeable, calm. But this mask hides everything they're afraid to show. They smile when they're anxious. They nod when they're hurting. They laugh so no one asks questions. People with the fear of being seen are constantly fighting themselves. One part of them wants connection. The other part whispers, "Stay small. Don't be noticed. It's safer that way." This internal war is exhausting. They don't push people away, but they never let others fully inside. They crave love deeply, yet fear that being seen will lead to rejection. This creates a loneliness that feels invisible, a loneliness no one ever notices. Healing begins the moment they decide to show just one small part of their true self, even if their voice shakes, even if their hands tremble. It doesn't happen in one breakthrough moment. It happens slowly, in tiny acts of honesty, in choosing to speak when silence feels safer, in allowing someone to see a feeling they once hid. They start to realize that vulnerability isn't a threat, it's a bridge that leads them back to the parts of themselves they abandoned to survive. It takes courage. It takes time. And it takes unlearning years of fear. Fear that taught them visibility is dangerous, that being known leads to pain. But the truth is this. Every time they let someone see a little more, the world becomes a little less frightening. To be seen is terrifying, but it is also the doorway to real connection. The kind of connection that softens the mind, steadies the heart, and finally allows them to feel like they belong. Because healing doesn't demand perfection. It only asks for one brave moment at a time. The fear of being seen is not a flaw. It is a wound, a quiet scar carried by people who learned far too early. That visibility comes with a price. Some learned that attention brings criticism. Some learned that vulnerability brings rejection. And some learned that their true self was never enough for the people who were supposed to love them. So they hid, not because they wanted to, but because hiding felt safer than hurting. But here's the truth no one tells them. You are no longer the child who had to protect themselves. You're older now, stronger now, and slowly, piece by piece, you can begin to reclaim the parts of yourself you buried to survive. You don't have to reveal everything at once. Healing doesn't happen in big dramatic moments. It happens softly, in small choices, tiny openings, gentle steps. It happens the moment you allow someone to hear your real voice. The moment you let your face show how you truly feel. The moment you choose honesty over silence, even if your voice trembles. You deserve spaces where you don't have to shrink. You deserve people who meet your softness with safety. You deserve love that doesn't demand a mask. And even if the world felt unsafe before, even if showing yourself once led to pain, there will come a time when someone sees you, truly sees you, and doesn't look away. Until then, take your time. Move gently. Let the world in at your own pace. Because you are worthy of being understood, worthy of being known, worthy of being seen. And someday, when you finally step out of your silence, you'll realize the world wasn't waiting for a perfect version of you. It was waiting for the real you, the one you've been hiding for so long.